Someone once said you need 3 things to live a good life: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. I love that. It's also true that to live a long and healthy life, we must keep our body's bones and surrounding structures in great shape. So let's check in with 2 of our local body engineering experts today on Hometown. Did you know that flexibility impacts your longevity? When we take good care of our body structure, it takes good care of us and increases not only how comfortably we live, but how long we live. So how can we do that? We know that exercise and movement are essential, but our world is becoming increasingly sedentary, our lives increasingly noisy, and there are many things we should be doing but struggle to do. Where do we start? Today we learn from 2 community members who are passionate about movement and the structures that create our bodies. Dr. Cory Mitchell, a specialist in orthopedic sports medicine, and Victor Attoh of Agility Physical Therapy. They are passionate about putting more life in our days, an essential ingredient in the remarkable story of us.
Victor, thank you for having Hometown here at Agility Physical Therapy.
Thank you for joining us.
It's great. So tell us a little bit about your background. You're obviously a physical therapist.
Correct. Yeah.
And you have people come obviously to your office here.
Yes. So we have, I'm an outpatient orthopedic physical therapist, which means I see a bit of everything. From your younger patients to your more older adults, balance issues, strengthening issues, post-operative surgical procedures. We see patients and help them get back to whatever they want to get back to, whatever they love doing.
Absolutely. So we're standing here in your gym and we're holding some great PT equipment here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what we're talking today is about our agility, and here we have these fantastic, amazing bodies, but yet we get to a point, whether it's an accident or surgery or something, where we need to make sure that we're taking care of what we have. Can you talk a little bit about balance and talk about making sure that we're preparing for, as we get older, some things that we can think about? Why don't you jump in?
Yeah, for me, I think the body itself is incredible. If you think about it, we have these bony structures that are held together with ligaments and then muscles on top of that. And somehow it all works to move us through space and move us, from one place to another. The issue is that these systems don't always work perfectly together. Like any structural system that has to work, there can be some issues that arise. For example, if the body is imbalanced for one reason or another, it could be lack of flexibility, it could be lack of strength, it could be poor posture. Things don't always work exactly the way they should, which could lead to some chronic issues, back pain, neck pain. Some joint issues, like knee, hip issues as well. And so being able to find what's wrong, address it, can help us alleviate some of these things and get this, this body machine working the way it should again.
Absolutely. And I have spent a lot of time with physical therapists, and it's been a joy to be able to learn, because some of these things you think, well, I don't understand why this isn't working properly. I used to be able to do that, but we can't always do what we used to do. But the importance of making sure that we're keeping strong, and sometimes we think, oh, well, I can't do that. What would you say to the person who is like, well, it hurts, or I'm not sure I have the ability to do that? How would you encourage that person?
Comparing yourself to what you used to be able to do can sometimes get you in trouble. I'm slowly experiencing that myself and coming to accept it. The things that we have to understand is that aging is inevitable, right? I keep hearing that, it definitely beats the alternative. But with aging, we have certain things that gradually change. We lose bony density. Mm-hmm. We lose muscle mass. It's harder to actually gain those two things back as we age as well. recovery takes longer, right? And those are the things we just have to accept, but doesn't mean we give up and we give up hope. It just means that accepting that and understanding it, you switch your mindset. If you know that healing is going to take longer, you just don't expect yourself to heal like you did 20 years ago. And I think half the time people come in here, just having that patience of understanding what the time frame for healing is, means that we don't rush, right? And we take time and we let our bodies do what it needs to do with some guidance. And then when it comes to regaining bone density, that's hard to do, or at least slowing it down, or gaining strength, or slowing down its decline. We just then also have to understand that it takes a little bit longer as well. What we want to do then is just understand where we are, accept that, do a little bit so we can gain a little bit more strength, which gives you the confidence to do a little bit more. And that is how we gradually get back to a higher function or a functional level that we want to be at.
Well, and that's, I think, really important, because I think sometimes we think there's a quick fix or there's whatever, but like with muscles, it takes a little bit of time, and it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing of, I need to do this today, and I know I'm talking to myself here about the exercises that I know that I need to be doing from my physical therapist that I've had in the past. But it's simple things of doing, and again, people need to obviously talk with their doctor. They need to be careful of all of that as well. But I know for me, sometimes I think, I don't have time for that. But it's just sometimes, even if I'm sitting down, for example, like someone can even take a 1 pound weight and do some exercises, correct?
Yes. The quick fix, there are some things that, a manipulation or mobilization can fix quickly. Right. But usually that's not what's going to help it last, right? Being able to then build strength around whatever, let's say it was a joint that was out of position or stiff. Yeah, we can mobilize it, but then you want to then strengthen to keep it from going back to what it was. And sometimes it starts small, right? You do what you can with what you have, and having the guidance to know what you can use is really helpful. What I like to do is I like to give people what we call home exercises, or as some people call it, an exercise prescription, because being able to have something to continue doing at home on your own matters so much more sometimes than what you're doing in here, because it helps you progress along. And that, what I like to do is we have bands.
Yeah, the TheraBands. Talk a little bit about that.
I like TheraBands, and I like the tubing as well. Because it doesn't require much equipment. And sometimes that can be a hindrance when you ask people to buy something or go to the gym. I think it'd be a good idea if we could all go to the gym, but if you're homebound or you have limited time, sometimes these are the best because it allows you to do some resistive exercises without much equipment.
And it's interesting, the first time you try it, it's like, ouch, I don't like this, I don't want to do this again. But then again, you come back the next day and it feels better, and the next day. And part of it, I think a lot of you PTs, it's encouragement.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes we do end up being the cheerleaders for people. Having seen so many postoperative procedures and patients come in, you know how it's going to go, but they don't.
Right.
And so they can't see how they're going to be moving in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks. But you know that. And so sometimes that's the job. In addition to what we do as well is just helping them stay upbeat. When you talk about your stretching and how sometimes you can feel a little bit, that's actually sometimes where people get themselves in a bit of trouble.
Talk about that.
Overuse or overdoing certain things. A stretch, for example, like you just talked about, a mild stretch is good, but people think if a mild one is good, then when I crank on it and it hurts like crazy, it's going to help. And usually we find ourselves in trouble. And so that's another reason why having a physical therapist or a medical professional guide you is helpful, because we can help people find just that sweet spot, because not doing anything is not good, and overdoing it can just prolong your injury. And so we just have to find that middle ground where the recovery happens.
What about the person who is saying, wow, I'm really having a hard time with my balance, and what would your suggestion be to them?
Same as the other things. There's a few things that when people hear, when I hear people say they're not very good at, I just smile about it and we have a conversation. One of those is balance, or I'm weaker, strength. Balance, strength, and flexibility. I think we just accept that as I've never been good at these, or I've never had good balance, or I've never had good flexibility. But we just start working on them, and we have to start working on them somewhere. So the good thing is balance can be trained, flexibility can be improved, and strength can be gained. It doesn't matter what age, it's just how quickly are you going to gain it and how much work do you have to put in to get where you want to be.
What do you like best about your job?
Oh, I love being able to see people go from A to B, right? Or A to Z, let's say. I love being able to see people come in, like you were saying, how am I even going to get back to playing soccer if I can't get my knee to move, right? I love being able to see the elderly patient that's talked about how they've had multiple falls and they're afraid of falling. And we discuss it later on and we realize, I haven't had a near fall for 2 months. I love being able to see the post-operative patient that just wants to get back to just simple everyday things, not the athlete, just simple everyday things of just being able to dress themselves, groom themselves, and go for a walk with friends, right? So the slogan I have here in Agility Physical Therapy is do what you love, do more of what you love. And so one of my goals with every patient that comes in is, we set goals on strength, we set goals on range motion, we set some functional goals, but usually one of the goals is what would you like to be able to do? And then we aim for that by the time we discharge, or at least as close to it as we can, because sometimes our health system does not let us see patients as long as we think we need to see them. And so leaving them in a good place, is what I like to see as an outcome.
I like it. And yes, I have the home, that's where the home physical therapy takes place.
Yes.
Well, Victor, thank you so much for being on Hometown, and thank you for what you do for our community to get everybody out and moving. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you for your time.
Dr. Mitchell, I am so glad to be able to talk with you today about a topic that is kind of dear to me and really, really important. And because I'm getting a little older, and maybe some of our viewers too, what are some of the things we can do as we're getting a little older to keep ourselves fit, or maybe get fit again if we've kind of let that go?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's near and dear to my heart with what I get to do for work and how I get to have conversations with people about how do I want to live my life and get joy from moving and doing things. And whether you are an avid athlete for the rest of your life, or whether you just want to get up and garden without as much pain, I think of those people as athletes. And you're training for something. And that might be to be able to use your walker to get down the hallway, and it might be to go hike the Pacific Coast Trail.
You think of everybody then that's
100%.
Getting into it as an athlete.
Yeah.
I could be an athlete for the first time in my whole life.
And I think the thing that starts with what can we do to be able to prepare ourselves is, what do you do every day in the small moments? Do you park farther away from where you need to go? Do you add a little bit of extra distance to go and get the mail, or do you always take the shortcut? And so being able to look at activity as an asset to how you take care of yourself and not a burden of what you have to accomplish, that's where I usually start with patients, is how do we put joy into activity? And then as we get older, our body does a few things. It gets tighter. The muscles take more maintenance to be able to stay active and stay strong. It generally wears down quicker, so you need more recovery and more time in recovery before you can do that activity again. And it takes some intentionality. And so when you're going to do a task that you are 21 years old, you can just turn your brain off and go do it.
Yes.
And then you don't pay for it. When you're 40 and you have children and you've gained a few pounds, then the recovery takes longer. And as we add more decades to that, the more you invested in being active through your life, the easier it is to maintain it. But the good news is the Lord made us pretty amazing.
Yes.
And so all it takes is just to get started.
That is so great. I was thinking about an activity that seems really simple, but it's like getting down on the floor. Like occasionally my barely teenage still son will like to play board games, and we'll often just spread them out on the floor. And when I was younger, it was so easy to just be down on the floor and do whatever and then get right back up. Well, I've noticed now that I'm past 50 that it's not as easy to just be down there on the ground up. But I said to myself the other day, I'm not giving this up. I am going to like get down on the ground, get up, get down on the ground and get up. And by just saying I'm still going to do that, even if it's not as comfortable,
Yeah.
it feels like motivational.
To kind of look ahead 30 or 40 years in life, one of the things I've noticed, I've worked with patients in Loma Linda in a blue zone, and I work with patients who just are so resistant to giving up what they love doing, that kind of finite nature of I won't means they're going to keep doing it. And what I would say is if you want to keep being on the floor with grandkids, or you want to keep doing things that are meaningful, you have to keep doing them. And I think a lot of times we look at athletes and we go, they practice a lot for their games. Well, that's where we really maintain the ability to do things. And so if we want to, twice a year at holidays, get on the ground with our grandkids, how much have you practiced getting on the ground?
Yes.
Right? So there are lots of things like stretching and yoga and Tai Chi and things that practice those flexibility tools that you need to then do the task. And so for people where exercise or going to a gym feels foreign, what I encourage you to do is break down the stuff you want to do into the simplest way that it breaks down and practice those specific tools so that when you need them to get down and play board games, it's a little bit easier than it would have been.
So it sounds like there might be some very specific routines or systems you could use to actually keep those muscles limber and make sure that you could do it at your house.
100%. Yeah. Gravity is a wonderful thing. And our bodies are designed to need gravity. And the more we've learned about people in space, the more we realize how much of a blessing it is that we're held to this earth. And so using your body and walking, 150 minutes a week minimum of walking, that gets you about 30 minutes 5 days a week. That's the bare minimum of maintenance for health. And if we want to do additional certain tasks, I usually encourage people to focus on the muscles you don't use every day. So if you have a desk job, what muscles do we use? Well, we sit and we use our forearms. So we would need to counter that. You'd need to do muscles that help you pull your shoulders back because you're using the other ones most of the day.
I'm glad you're saying this because I wanted to know what areas we neglect. You know, what is it we forget about?
Basically everything your eyes don't see. We can see all the muscles on the front of our body. We neglect a lot of the back of our body. Our hamstrings, our glutes, the muscles in your calves, the muscles around your shoulder blades, all of those muscles are meant to keep you upright and to be able to help you carry yourself. And if we look at how people age visually when they walk, what happens is we get kind of here. And unfortunately, technology has kind of gotten us younger and younger into that position. So the muscles that are neglected are far and away the muscles we don't see with our eyes. And so the pulls, the extensions of your hips, the things that use the back muscles to be able to push against all those strong muscles on the front of your body.
Oh, that is really great. I'm going to work on that. For sure. So what are some things that we can do then to really keep, you've touched on some already, but keep ourselves motivated? And that probably is different for different people, but.
Yeah, I think a couple kind of talking points I always give patients is that we have to find what gives you joy. And if we can tie the thing that you're dreading doing to something you get joy with, then it's not really a task that you have to do. It's something you want to do. So I encourage people to play around with all the different types of aerobic fitness that we can do. Rowing, kayaking, cycling, walking, running, hiking. Find one that resonates with what you like to do and stick with it and do it regularly. And it doesn't have to be intense and it doesn't have to be a long period of time, but do it often. And then I think the second thing is really do it in moderation. Most of us are motivated and we know, okay, I need to take care of myself. And so that first 3 or 4 days out, we overdo it. And I think one of the things we know from what the Lord teaches us is that, you know, we were designed to kind of live in the middle of moderation. Our bodies do great at adapting, but if we keep it within that middle ground, we recover better and you're not in pain because of the activity you do. So consistency, moderation, and find your joy. That is where I usually start with patients.
That is really great. Like I already know that I love to be out when the day is new. Like I love to see the sun almost to come up and be out walking at that time of day, even in the winter. You know, unfortunately, sunrise comes a little too late in the winter for when I have to get to work. But I love that. It's joyful for me. Like I walk and pray, and it's just. I don't even mind that I'm out there.
And one of the cool things is that if you start with the things you do without even having to try, then we can add on little bits of strength training or little bits of things of muscles that you neglect onto the habits and behaviors that are already built into your life. And that's the beauty of people who age well, is that they already inherently do the stuff they should do. So when we need to course correct, when they strain a muscle or roll an ankle, or they have something that sets them back, they have a higher baseline for us to build off of, and we can put new corrective tools into what they're already doing. And it allows us so much freedom to be able to be creative with that, as opposed to the things you really don't want to do to get better.
So right now, I'm going to surprise you with this question, but people are watching probably and going, "That I've got to do something more, and this is so inspiring." Where do they go next? What do they do? Who can they turn to?
It's a great question. And we, in a small valley like we have a ton of people who genuinely care about getting people active. And that could be something as simple as a walking group in your local church. That could be something where you find other people who are active by just going to parks or going to different events in town and just introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I need to be more active. Can you be accountability for me?" We have lovely hiking trails. If you go out by the community college or you go towards the river, those are places where you can find your happy place.
Yes.
And so getting started with any of those things and making it a social invite to be able to do them, that's a great place to start. For professionals, there are personal trainers and physical therapists and sports medicine physicians like myself, where going and talking to them for some guidance to make it a little bit more structured for our type A firstborn patients.
Yes.
Versus somebody who just needs to have the freedom of movement. There are different people who can guide you through all of those things. And really, the joy of my practice is taking what people are already motivated to do and give them that next step. And have them help train for a goal that they have in mind.
Very good. This has been so fascinating, really interesting, and motivational. Just want to thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
My wife Lexi and I are here in the Wallowa Mountains doing a 3-day backpacking trip, and we want to take you along with us. What is it?
Aneroid Lake.
So Aneroid Lake is almost 7 miles into our hike, but we are continuing because our goal for today is about 17 miles. Getting those extra miles and running back and forth to get the camera. Hello, future Aaron coming to you from the future to tell you that we had a great evening. We ate food, we got our tent up. Just wanted to say hello, say good night. See you in the morning. Well, hello. The sun is coming up. We're not in a huge rush today. We don't have as many miles today as we did yesterday. And we are headed down the trail. It's so nice to be out here. These mountains are so majestic. It takes a bit of work getting out here, but it is worth every bit of time. And the satisfaction is guaranteed. That was the shot. I hope you enjoyed it. Now we're gonna head into this valley. We made it to Glacier. Hello there. We decided to spend the evening in the tent. Set up our tent, ate our food, checked out those views. took a walk, and now we're here. So we'll see you in the morning. Today is our hike out, and it's going to be a casual 15 miles. It's been an awesome trip. I encourage you to get out and try something new. Go visit a new place. Go do a new thing. It doesn't have to be here in the Wallowas, but doing something difficult, doing something that challenges you 1,000% is worth it. Hello.
Hello.
Did we make it?
We made it.
We've made it in one piece, an easy 15 today. Made it back to the car. Thanks for following us on this journey. We'll see you next time on Hometown. We're gonna go get some food.
When we struggle to get going and do hard things, attitude is everything. Proverbs 17:22 reminds us that a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The more time we can carve out of our days to move and play, the healthier we will be. Too often, I think of exercise as something I must do rather than an opportunity to have fun working out the kinks, shaking off the stress, and escaping the stiffness of sitting still so much of the day. We are born to move. Our bodies are designed to move so we can experience the world no matter how fast or slow we move. Park a little further away from the building. Take the stairs. Get out of your chair more often. Toss a ball around with a friend. Stretch your arms. Wiggle your toes and fingers. The simplest things done consistently can make a tremendous difference in our flexibility. And with that in mind, I'm going to put on some tunes and get back to my workout. See you next week on our next episode of Hometown.